And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And folks, welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for tuning in to Car Clinic today. Give us a call with your questions at 888 Car Clinic. With us on the hotline today is Brian Moody, executive editor of Autotrader.com. Shopping for a new car can be overwhelming. I've been there, done that. And between the hundreds of makes and models to choose from and the recent technological changes in the automotive landscape, you may be surprised when you get to a dealership. So, where do you start when it comes to finding the perfect car for you? Well, it begins with a test drive, and to help narrow down your search, resident car expert Brian Moody is on the Car Clinic with hotline with us now to reveal the 2018 Autotrader and, get this, folks, must-drive vehicles. Brian, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, thank you for having me. Yeah, you're right. A lot has changed. Most people, if they're driving a used car, it's a little bit more than 11 years old, so you can imagine how much has changed in the time from then till now.
Well, speaking of a lot that's changed, for our Car Clinic listeners and viewers who haven't shopped in a while, give us an overview of what's the best first step to go, besides, of course, going to Autotrader.com.
Well, really, you should go online, whatever your favorite site is, and most people use multiple sites. They don't just use one, but you can use sites like Kelley Blue Book to find the value. You can use your local classifieds. You can use Autotrader to figure out what's out there. But doing a lot of research online will save you time and energy later. When you go to the dealership, by the time you get to the dealership, you should already know quite a bit about the car you want to buy, how much you can afford, and super important, what's your credit score? Know those things before you go down there.
Good advice. I mentioned the must-drive list for 2018. Which vehicles are on that list, Brian?
Well, there's 12 cars that we put on our must-test drive list, and the reason that we came up with this list is because we know people are busy, and we wanted to narrow it down to say, listen, if you're going to take the time to go all the way down to the dealership, you want to make the best use of your time. So here's 12 cars that we think are worth your time and energy in a variety of price ranges and vehicle types. If you see one you like, stop me and we can talk about it. Off the top is the Buick Regal Tour X. That's a station wagon kind of thing. Think of it as the Buick version of a Subaru Outback. And here's one of the reasons why we came up with this list, because a lot of the things that you may have assumed or a lot of things that you think you know from the past aren't true anymore. So there's that Buick on the list. We also have a Kia on the list, the Kia Stinger. And the Kia Stinger is a front-engine, rear-wheel drive, high-performance sedan from Kia, and it's quite good-looking also. So back in the day, you would have thought, let's say 10, 12 years ago, I don't think the average person would have been thinking Kia, and I can't blame them. They weren't that great then. But they have improved. They have a 100,000-mile warranty. They have compelling design. They have compelling features. So it's important to keep that in mind when you're shopping. Don't just go for the same old thing because you might be missing out on a better deal or a better car.
Well, no doubt about that. And to that end, it's so ironic today that we're talking because the bottom line, just 3 weeks ago, a customer drove up into our service shop with a black brand new Stinger, which is, by the way, one of my favorite cars, and asking about if we could put on some accessories that he was thinking of buying. Brian, this car was a $38,000 BMW beater is what I called it. Really?
It's very quick. It's the most comparable to something like a BMW Grand Coupe or an Audi Sportback. It's quicker than some of those cars, believe it or not. And like you said, the price is reasonable. The interior is nice, and it's rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. So this is not the Kia from a decade ago. This is an all-new thing. And we think people, it would do them well to consider some of these cars that they might not be thinking of first and foremost.
We're talking with Brian Moody, executive editor of video for Autotrader.com. No doubt you've shot a lot of footage of cars in your life. You mentioned about making the most of a test drive. How can folks make the most of a test drive?
Well, here's what you do. Be prepared to spend some time. Take your time. This is depending on where you are in life, what stage of life you are, this is a 10, 20, 30, 40, maybe even a $50,000 purchase. Treat it like the seriousness that you would treat any high-dollar purchase, like buying a home or purchasing a cabin or a boat or something like that. Don't just show up. Plan it out. know what you're going to do, drive on roads that are familiar to you, spend enough time in the car that you can tell whether it's comfortable or not. And if you really need to spend more time, tell the dealership, listen, I'm serious about this car, but I want to take it overnight, or I want to take it to lunch, or I want to pick up my wife, or I want to, whatever you want to do, tell them up front what you want to do, and they'll usually accommodate you, because this is the thing that people I don't think realize about dealerships. They're local businesses that employ local people, and they're part of the local community. It's not Ford doesn't own the local dealership, or Jeep or Kia or whoever. So believe it or not, they want you to be happy, but give them a chance to make you happy. They can't make you happy if you don't tell them what you want. So spend the time, know your credit score, know the kind of car you're going to want, have a budget in mind, and here's the important thing. Bring your stuff with you. If you have a dog, bring it. If you have kids, bring them. If you have baby seats, golf clubs, strollers, bring all that, because you got to find out if it's going to fit or not. What if you spend $50,000 on a car and get home and you find out that your child's stroller won't fit? That was the wrong time to find that out.
You paint a picture, and folks, get this. You walk into a dealership showroom with your dog and your cat and your kids and your golf club, and you said, I want to test drive one of your cars. And to that end, I even talk about sometimes that people, and what do you think about this, Brian? People should rent the car from a rental company that may not be the same car, but the same make, so they could use it over a weekend to really get a feel. What do you think about that?
I think that's an excellent suggestion, and there's one little thing to keep in mind when you do that. So, yes, of course, that's a great idea. It's a good way to get a feel for the car. The one thing to keep in mind is that when you go to rent a car, they don't usually have the top trim level. So say that you wanted a Toyota Camry and you want the XSE, the nicest one with the biggest engine.
Right.
You're not going to be able to rent that one. However, for everybody else that you want just a normal Nissan Pathfinder SV or a Honda Accord LX, yeah, by all means, see if you can rent one. But before you do that, ask the dealer if you can take it home overnight. They might let you, as long as you give them some collateral and make sure they know that you're a normal person. Those are both excellent ideas, and I wouldn't discourage anyone from doing that, because it could save you a $40,000 mistake.
We're talking with Brian Moody, executive editor of Autotrader. Just a quick question, a couple of questions I have. Could you give us maybe 3 things that top of mind that buyers should keep in mind before they write the check?
Before they write the check, here's a good one. So we said the credit score, that's super important. The long test drive, that's super important. Here's another one that I don't think people are doing, and I think it's a big mistake. You have to test drive the technology in the car. Everybody knows acceleration, handling, braking, seat comfort. Yes, of course, do all that. But you have to test drive the technology. Today's cars have lots of features like Bluetooth with streaming audio, Apple CarPlay, navigation, programmable climate control. Here's what I say. When you go on the test drive, before you sign the documents, always bring your phone. And when you do bring your phone, be sure to pair your phone to the car. Be sure to make a phone call using the car's in-car system, and be sure to enter a navigation destination either in your phone or in the car to make sure that that's easy. If that process is frustrating, well, that's going to be frustrating for you for the next 10 years.
Wow. Great information, Brian. Just one last question. Where can our Car Clinic listeners and viewers go to get more information?
Well, there's a full list of all the cars that are on our list. There's 12 in total. We have a video for each one explaining why we picked it. It's autotrader.com/must-test-drive, and on that page you'll see all the cars for this year. You can even see last year's cars we picked, and at the very bottom of the page there are tips about how to get the most out of your test drive.
Perfect. Brian Moody, executive editor, Autotrader. Brian, thanks so much for joining us again on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Great information.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks for having me. This is great.